Hey, Ecamm Live Academy fam. I am jumping right in as I said I would after the Q&A. Um, so I'm just going to be here for you guys to answer any graphics related type questions, graphics animations with Keynote or Canva, and whatever kind of Ecamm questions you may have related to graphics. So let me check the group, make sure I'm in okay. And thank you, Val and Paul, for that great Q&A you guys just had. Yes, Hank, man, we are. Well, I'll just speak for myself. I'm praying for you, man, and that you get a full recovery of everything that you lost. And we're definitely here as a Ecamm fam, Ecamm Academy fam, gonna support you, man. So it's gonna we're gonna work this out, man. So yeah, guys. So I am in here. Let me refresh. Let me know that you're in the house with me. I'm looking over here at this other camera to see that everything is good. It is good. Let me knock down the volume on that so I can see your comments. So I'll be kind of moving back and forth. My eyeballs will be moving a little bit back and forth so I can see who's making comments, because I'm not an admin in the group and everything will say Facebook user. But I want to use the same kind of housekeeping kind of things that we usually do in our Q&A sessions. Use a capital letter Q with a colon, and then write your question to let me know what kind of questions you have related to graphics and or animations with Ecamm. And I'll do my best to answer those. We'll actually do some tutorial type things, work through those things. So we are going to get this going. Now, I had a couple of things that I wanted to mention, and you guys can watch this on replay if you need to. So, because I just want to jump in and get going with this. There's a couple of things that people were asking about that I didn't cover yesterday. I want to make sure I cover today. And a couple of things that people sent me DMs about. I've already reconnected with some of those people, but I want to show you what I worked out for them that they were talking about. So we do some of those things. Hey, Lorenzo, how's it going? Appreciate you. And I wonder why. Okay, there we go. All comments. Let's do all comments for now. All right. So yeah, thank you for dropping in. And what I am going to do, because this is replayable, so I'm going to jump in and just start getting this stuff knocked out. So hey, Michael, how's it going? So a couple of days ago, when I first started talking about doing, let's go all the way back on that. When I first got questions about graphics and things like that, someone reached out to me and asked me a question about a particular graphic that they saw on a video, and it was like floating text, things like that. Now, there are multiple ways to do things like that. Obviously, just plain floating text, you can make it in Ecamm. Now, animated type things beyond the slide in and stuff like that, you'll need another app. But instead, there's a couple of ways even to do that. You can save it as a transparent video, as you saw me do some things yesterday, or you can run it live. And yesterday, I showed a live version of the text. So I'm going to put this up on my screen right now. So the version yesterday was just plain text, and it got bold as I scrolled through it. But I want to show you something else that I did, because we actually kicked it up a notch based on what was asked. Because there's a couple of the animations as it relates to this. So let's just kind of go into it. So as you see here, the first one, the text goes bold, and there's a timer that goes around, and I have it set for a minute, of the circle next to it. So you can be talking about topic number one, and the timer is going around as you talk. And when it gets to 30 seconds, the timer will stop, but it will not automatically flip, because this is a live slideshow on a green screen. I'm running this right now through my tablet or my iPad, and it is a live presentation. So when topic one is over, I'm not stuck with it automatically having to go on to topic two if I get long-winded or whatever else. So now I can go to topic two, and topic 2 will show up, and the timer for topic 2 will go. Now, the cool thing about this, is that I don't have to be confined to the timer animation. It can run, but it will not make me go to the next slide. The downside of it is if if I'm done right now and I want to just go to the next topic, it's just a thing with Keynote that if there's an animation running, it won't let you skip to the next slide while an animation is running. So I have to at least wait until the animation is done before I go to the next slide. But I can also go backwards. Go back to topic number 1, let the timer go, and then run it. So this is all live. And so I can go in and change the topic names, change the colors of things off screen, then reload it and go back in. So that was something that I did for a gentleman that asked that question a couple of days ago. Hey, Brian, how's it going? Now, I have no idea what. Oh, probably because we're already connected. You're showing up as an actual person, but everybody else is showing up as Facebook user in my comments. Yeah, but this is just a simple live setup. So what I'm going to do now is actually go into Keynote and show you how I did this, and then you can use some semblance of this if you want to for your animation. So let me turn. Oh, you're coming in through YouTube. That's why you're not coming in through Facebook. YouTube lets me see who all the users are. All right. So let's go up here to the shared screen, and we're going to go into Keynote, and I'm going to open up the presentation that I made for this animation you just saw. So let me go here and open that up. All right, so here's a presentation. Now this version of the presentation is what I used to make a video out of. That's why the background has no fill versus a green screen. But each of these topics on each of these slides, and only one topic is bold. Then I end with a blank slide. So here's a slide with all the topics. None of these bubbles have animations because they're not needed. But on the first slide, we're just going to run through the first one. So the first slide, we have our topic. We have a little accent line, which I drew with a shape. Then we have a circle here. So I'm going to copy this and move it over, just for the sake of showing you what I did and not messing up the other ones. So this circle is actually 2 circles. I have the white circle that's seen initially. Then I have the orange circle that is directly on top of it, and it has a built-in animation of line draw. So I'll preview that, and you'll see the animation kind of come in. All right, so that's basically how that's working. You have the orange line on top, and it's going to show or draw itself in on top of the white one. So it won't be there at first, it'll draw itself in. Now, one other thing that you want to keep note of, because I wanted it to start at the top and go around. Oddly enough, when you do the line draw animation, it starts at like a 3 o'clock position and goes around. So I also had to rotate the circle, which seems like just the weirdest thing to do, having to rotate a circle, right? But all you do with that is you click on that circle. I'm going to go here to Format and Arrange, and I made that circle 45 degrees, so the starting point is at 12 versus the default 3 o'clock. And so once those 2 things are in order, you run that animation and it goes around. And so that's the basic setup for this. And I have that circular animation and a bold font on each of these slides. So essentially what happens is I'll go to the slide here. The animation will run. When it's done, I have a dissolve that goes to the next slide. So it looks like it's fading into bold. Then the animation starts. So that's how this animation is done, to get that floating text effect on your screen with an animation. You can add more colors, different things like that. So let me know if you have any questions in general about that. And I want to make sure that I kind of cover these things so we can help everybody out that needs help with this. Hey, Danny, appreciate you being here. Yeah, so if you have any kind of graphics questions or anything like that, definitely let me know because I want to be able to answer those for you and get you guys rocking and rolling with your presentations and what you're doing. All right. So with that being said, let's go back to me full screen for now and check and see if you guys have any more questions. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just run through a few things, and if there's no questions that come through, I'll shut it down for the day because I just want to be here to answer your questions. So if there's no questions, no reason for me to hang out too long. All right. So the next thing is I know someone asked in the last Q&A with Val and Paul about fonts, right? Now, in particular, and I know Adobe has, because it was mentioned, they have a font matcher and things like that. I have personally not used it yet, so I don't want to speak against it, but I know how some other font matchers work because even you will see Canva even do things like that. Here's what I'll say. In a general sense, for any lower third body copy, you're adding scripture to the screen, you're adding a block of text to the screen, go with something sans serif. Sans serif means no feet. So Times New Roman has feet, right? Has a little platform under the letters. That's serif. And actually, just to show you the difference in them, I'm going to add a text overlay because it's better just to show you than to be telling you all this. Let's just do a text overlay, and I'll say sans serif. So this is sans serif. And don't need the background. And this is serif. And let's make this another font. I'm always using sans serif fonts. I need to go find. All right. And of course, all right, let's do this. Let's put a background on it. All right. Sans serif and serif. Sans serif means no feet. Serif means feet. These little platforms are feet, right? So you have sans serif, no, sans, no, serif, feet. Serif means feet. So that's the reason, right? Now, in a general sense, because both of these are big, they both may be kind of equally easy to read right now. But in a general sense, the smaller this gets, sans serif still holds up better than serif. Now, this is Courier, which is the typewriter font, very rarely used and stuff like that. I don't really want to search for, let me see what I have here. You have Bookman Antiqua. Let's do that. Okay, there's a serif font. Now, the thick and thins of a serif make it harder to read the smaller that you go, right? Sans serif can usually hold up at smaller sizes than a serif font. So you always want to go with a sans serif font if at all possible. You want to get exotic, italicize a sans serif font, right? That's what I suggest. When you get into these scripty fonts and all these other kind of fonts, you can wreak havoc on your viewer to be able to read your text. Text is meant to be read, R-E-A-D, period. Don't go too fancy where people can't read it. I've also seen people use script fonts for their logo bugs. I would say no to that personally because you want your text to be legible. Use a bold sans serif font. It's okay if it doesn't match your brand font. It's a logo bug, right? So you have to consider things like that. All right, let's see. Okay. That's cool, Maggie Rose. Just let me know. And we have a question here. Where do you get your cool fonts? How do you add them to your Mac? Okay. Usually, I just go to free font websites. They have DA font. They have, just do a Google search for free fonts. You can use, Macs can use TrueType fonts. Um, so yeah, you're good to go. Now the way that you add them, download the zip file typically, open up the zip file, which the Mac will automatically decompress the zip file. Double click on a font, it uploads the font. You usually get kind of a in between screen when you double click on it to show you that all the fonts are being loaded, and then just go that way. So Google free fonts, and you're going to find a ton of them. Now, the thing about it, what you also want to make sure of, if you're going to be using your iPad and things like that, you want to make sure that you're using fonts that your iPad can also use if you're going to be doing live slideshows and things like that. But like as I said, if you're going to use a real fancy, scripty, artsy looking font, the bigger the better. So if it's a big title font, fine. Whenever you're starting to do body copy, scripture, lower third, stuff like that, please make it sans serif. Just make it easy on your viewers. It's not worth it to go fancy and turn off your viewers because they cannot read or understand the stuff that's on the screen. All right. All right. Now, some other folks asked about it since I mentioned it, presenting. Let's go back to my shared screen. And I can do this here in Keynote. We can also do it in Canva. Let's go to a new presentation. Let's use one that has some stuff on it. Let's go with this one. I've noticed also that, let's use one that has some pictures on it. I've noticed also that folks have done some presentations and things where their picture is on the presentation. And it frankly kind of looks like what you're seeing right now. Their picture is there, but it doesn't look like it's part of the design of the slide. So I want you to kind of start thinking through things like that and design your slides anticipating using a video window. So even in this case, right? So if I plan for my video window to be here in every slide. So what I would do is grab a shape and I would make the shape on a slide. I'm gonna hold down Shift because I want it to be square. I'll do a color fill on that. Just make it blue and I'll put a border on it. Because this way I can either do a camera overlay in Ecamm later, or this can just be used as a placeholder to help me in my design. So as I start to do this, I know in my slides, that's where I want to be in my slide layout. So I'm going to copy this position and go to every slide and paste that in. So now I'm going to go through and design my slides with that video window in mind. So in this case, I like how that looks, but I'll probably make this smaller. Then I can add some text down here or whatever else. So even have it where if I want to be able to add comments while I'm doing the presentation, I'll go ahead and put that bar in the slide, knowing that that's the spot I'm going to use for people's comments. So I'll copy that and paste it into all the slides. And so now I'm designing my slide with my video elements in mind. So I'll go through and change up all these things here, knowing that my video window is going to be here. So now no matter what's going on with that slide, I know that it's going to be conducive to adding my video to it. And let's say I want the text to be on this side. So this is how I would go through and make my slide layouts. So this, I'm just kind of just throwing stuff together right now. So now as I go through this whole thing, I know my picture's going to be here. My slides are being laid out, knowing where my video is going to be, and also knowing where my comments are going to be. So I have all these things ready, and I get my slides done. That's okay, cool. That's the look I'm going to have. I'll then go in and delete all these placeholders because I don't need them. I'm going to add my video to it later. But I know all my slides are laid out, ready to be a live presentation with my video added. I have no idea what all this is. Okay. All right. So now if I go here and I go, let's say, I'm going to play the slideshow in a window, which as you see now, in Ecamm, I'm going to move myself up. Right? And so now as I click through my slides, and I think I made myself too big. But now as I click through my slides, I'm in a place where I'm not covering up my slide content. And if I bring in a comment, I know it's going to show up down here under this picture over here to the left. And so that's what you should do when you start to do your presentations. Don't just use the default template, put your text in, change colors, and now start using it. Do it with the idea that, okay, I'm going to be doing this presentation. My video, where is that going to be? If I decide to add comments, where are they going to be? So I do all these things with that in mind. So that's what I really want you guys to start thinking about as you're using these different software packages, Keynote, PowerPoint, Canva, and all these other little features, and don't use them without thinking about what the video is going to look like in that presentation. So hopefully that was helpful, because someone brought that up the other day, then I was noticing that too. People were kind of demoing their live presentations, and it kind of looked like what it looks like right now. Just a video bubble pasted into a presentation. Make it part of the presentation. Make it part of your design. Move things around so that video window looks like it's integrated into the presentation. So even if I wanted to do something like one of these with the shadow, the curved shadow under it. So yeah, I can just make a shape. I can even do it that way. Make a shape, go to style. Let's see if we got the shadow effects here. What am I thinking about? Go back to style. And I can do the different shady type things here, or just do a shadow, right? And just do a curved shadow, as you see under there now. That's the angle of it, offset. Let's set that off some, just so it can be very visible, right? And so then I have a rectangular window here. So now if I play this slideshow in window, just to do it right, I'll go here. I'll right click myself and change my camera options. And I'll do it, I'm still going to do it custom, but I'll do it with no corner radius. And now I'll make it fit like that. And now the curve is under my video. So now it looks like I'm part of the presentation. All the other pictures have that kind of curved shadow on it. My video has a curved shadow. And now I'm like a talking thing inside of my presentation. And so just think a little bit deeper as you start to design these things and use these cool features of Canva and of Keynote with these really cool templates. Adjust them so you can use your video in them. All right, so I'll stop harping on that. All right, turn my curves back up. Put myself back down here in the corner. All right, so just wanted you guys to think about that. All right, let me see if there's any more questions. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, right? We have to, when we start looking at these, what's built into these apps and what's cool about these apps, why not be a little bit, future minded or show minded or broadcast minded? Be like, that's a great presentation, but where's my video going to go, right? Instead of just, let me just show this presentation and my video windows in that bottom right hand corner. We get that Zoom mindset, and let's get out of that and kind of enhance what we're doing. All right, so let's see. Appreciate y'all. I'm looking at comments right now and questions. All right, y'all. Well, I'm not gonna hang out too much longer if you guys don't have any questions. I didn't know what time people could actually give to this, what questions they may have, but this is a great opportunity right now. If you're one of the only few people in the room, you can get some undivided attention to help you through something that you're working on. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Let's see. Yeah, Danny, I'm not, yeah, I mean, but the thing about it, it's like you have a lot of these apps have built-in stuff that you can use, and kind of, this is what I said the other day in another video, but I always have an idea in mind first. Then I open up the software and see if I can make the software do what I want to make happen, right? So I think about the animation, like, oh, I'd love to have this thing pop in from the bottom right hand of the screen, and or I watch game shows. They have really cool animated commercials transitioning between the shows, like the Game Show Network. Their logo bugs are really cool. And so I'm looking at all of these things like, okay, can I make Keynote do that? Can I make Keynote make a game show design? And then I open up Keynote and start playing with it to see if I can make it do it, versus open up Keynote and then like, okay, what is Keynote going to give me? No, I have my idea first, then I go in. Yeah, so animations until, for animations, until green screen overlays are available through Ecamm, which right now they're not. Camera overlay green screen is. Screen share overlays, no. And just general graphics overlays, no. Green screen is not available. So until that's available, Canva's going to be difficult to use for animations. Canva is great for static images, but for animations, because it cannot export with a transparent background, it eliminates a lot of what you can do with it, unless you're doing full screen animations, like title screen animations to start your show, or pattern interrupter animations like that. You can just start up full screen, something animates and leaves. Yes, you can do those in Canva, and I can show you some of those real quick. Let's see, what is your best advice to master them? Use them, play with them, try to break the software, have an idea before you get into the software, and try to make it do what you want it to do, versus, let me just pick this template and make it green, right? Have an idea in mind first, then look for a template that's close to what your thought pattern is, and then work it from there. So yeah, I can actually open up Keynote now. Let's close up these Keynote things first. Yeah, so let me open up, got my screen share here with Canva. And here's some more stuff I'm actually coming out with. These are frame-based overlays, which is something I'll show you guys later. But so say Canva. I'm gonna go to presentations, because they're already 16 by 9, which is great. They may or may not already have animations in them. But I'm kind of looking at these, and I like this one right now because I'm thinking about my video window. Where am I going to add my video to the presentation? I kind of like that look. I like this one. That's pretty decent. Okay, so it's showing here right now kind of where I can put different things that it has like the different looks. Now, the downside of this is that this will be great as a cutout in Canva, but I can't cut shapes out. So if I made this a green screen and I added it, so say I get this done, I have it as a green screen, and if I could do green screen overlays, it would work, right? So that's kind of the downside of this. Now, if I did a green screen overlay in, would that work? That could work, yeah. If I did a green screen overlay and then I saved it as a Keynote presentation, or opened it up in Keynote, brought it in as a camera overlay, these spots would be green and see-through, but I have to keep moving my camera to match up with the open spot. So it's kind of a give and take with that. My memojis, my cartoon face, is that what you're talking about when you say memojis? Let me know what you mean by that. Now, the little video animations that you saw Adrian do, those were recorded on a green screen, the background taken out in Final Cut Pro, then saved as Apple ProRes 4444. Yes, I know how to do that, but my main lane is Keynote and Canva, so that's why I stick with that. Okay, that is what you're asking about. Okay. Yeah, those actual video overlay emoji things with him smiling and waving at you and stuff, he filmed himself in front of a green screen, took out the green screen in Final Cut Pro, saved it with a transparent background, and then used that video in Ecamm. So that's all that actually is. So it's no different than a video that I would make in Keynote, but I can't extract a background from a video in Keynote. I can extract a background from a video in Canva, but I still can't export it with a transparent background. Saved as what? Apple ProRes 4444. There's 4 fours to make it transparent. You can also save it as a HEVC file, which is a little bit smaller, different compression format, and you can add sound to HEVC videos or WebM, right? MOV file is what it's going to be saved as ultimately for a transparent background video. WebM is WebM. Let's see. Okay, all right. So yeah, so here's Canva presentations you can do. Now, as I said, Canva is really good for static type things. So even if I present this now, I'm going to do this. So if I present it, it's going to present it in full screen, right? And now, just like before, I can add myself to the presentation and just click through it. Oh, it's giving me the other prompts. All right. So if I scroll through it, oh, all I have is one slide. My bad. Yeah, so that's kind of what that is now in Canva, right? Because I only have one slide. I forgot I only had one slide. All right. Let's do multiple slides. Do that one for the second one, that for the third one, that for the fourth one, that for the fifth one. Go back here, present full screen. Okay, so you have the same kind of thing, right? Like I was saying here in Keynote, but I would design this with my video window in mind so I wouldn't get the look you're getting now, just a picture stuck in a presentation. So over here back in Canva, right? And so all the animations and things are still working. So when you think about this, kind of think about these things with the video window in mind. So I really like this design. It's a pretty cool design. And I'm gonna hit escape and jump out. But now I want to try to figure this out as in where my video window would go. So I would go here to elements and I'd pick a square because that's probably ultimately what my video is going to be shaped like. And let's say, I don't know, I want my video to be here, just in the general sense, right? Copy that. So I'm going to go here to the next slide and paste that in. Okay, let's see, today, copy, paste. And so I'm going to look at this like, okay, that still looks okay, doesn't look bad. Paste that in. So I see now I'm overlapping that. So I would delete that, just delete that completely because I want it to look good with my video there. Then I'll delete all this other stuff. Go here, paste that in. Okay, that doesn't look right now. So maybe I will move all this stuff down so it looks better with me there. You know, we just do that throughout everything else, right? That's a little tight there. That's a little tight. So what I would do with this is I'd move all this stuff down. There we go. Okay, so now I have all those elements there, and I'm going to leave that there to help me out when I do this. So go back, present, full screen, present. So now I'm in Ecamm. I'll take my video and I will make it fit there. So now as I scroll through my Canva presentation, I'm in the same spot. I fit inside the design, right? And it looks like I'm part of the layout. I'm not just a window stuck in a corner somewhere in the design. Because everything is designed around, I'm not covering up any important information, that kind of stuff, right? So that's what I want you to kind of really consider when you're doing that. All right, let's go back to me, see what's going on here. Yes, so yesterday I used, I guess, green screening because I made a green slide, right? And not a green screen behind me. I use a green slide. And then when I brought in the camera overlay, I picked the green as in what I wanted to make disappear. So let me see, how can I do that to show you? Oh yeah, I can just bring up the iPad. I'm gonna replace myself right now with the iPad real quick. Oh, but it's gonna be, that's not gonna do that right because it's going to be green screen because I have that camera set up as green screen. So let me go back to that camera. I'm gonna pick the iPad again, and I'm going to turn off green screen. All right. So now as you see it, this is my iPad screen showing you what's going on, right? So I made it green as if it was a green screen behind me in the live situation. Then when I bring it in as a camera overlay into Ecamm over myself, which you see in this format, in this look, where are you at? Oh, there we go. I need to add a camera overlay because I changed everything. There we go. Go here, add camera overlay, which is my iPad. So now, as I add the camera overlay and select green screening, then change the gradient on it to get the right proper green. Now my slideshow has a transparent background. So That's where it is now. So I can go backwards. And that's the cool thing about this, is that I can do like this animation and all of that stuff. This is a live presentation that has animations in it, just like what you just saw in Canva with that full screen design and me in a little window. Instead, this time I'm just using the text from a presentation with green on it and then using that as a camera overlay, stuff like that. Now, I can't use, well, I guess I could. If I save the Canva presentation, opened it up in Keynote, and had green screen everywhere but the text, had a green background, I could make that presentation text float over me with all the animations and all that stuff. Now, I'm not sure if all the animations from Canva will translate into Keynote properly, but it'll probably pick some similar animations and still work in a similar way. So that's just kind of how that will go. And so that's what this is, right? You see the little timer goes, all the animation goes, and the text is floating on top of me because I don't have anything but a green screen and the text. And very early on when I started this, I showed you how I made all these animations and all these transitions. So that's at the very beginning of this live broadcast. Yeah, so let me see. I talked about fonts a little bit. I'll talk about colors for a second. For colors, let me turn this off. In a general sense, for colors, the two most contrasting colors you can use is black and white. All right. You got a light color background, use black, it's going to definitely show up. Got a dark color background, use white, it's going to definitely show up. Other colors, you're going to get differing effects. So usually when I do logo bugs and stuff like that, the logo bug is basically a little version of your logo in the bottom corner of the screen. And these are not mine. These are for a client that I did. But let me show you some of these, just how they would look, right? So, but these are all of her brand colors. And as you see here, I think I even have, I have kind of a transparency on it. I'll make that full transparency right now. So the color is all the way in. Oh, I locked it. That's why. There we go. So that's full color teal, which works pretty good, right? So now I have, see, that's black. Can't see it. That's her blue. Hard to see. That's white. And you can see that white even shows up better than the bright teal, right? So think about that when you're doing your logo bugs even. Plain, bold, as few colors as possible, black or white. If one of your brand colors is a light color, that's cool too. But if you cannot control your environment, right, this looks the same all the time. The only thing that will typically change in this whole environment is my shirt and that gel light, because I can change colors of it. So typically the bottom part of this screen, I know what it's going to look like. But, I think, and all of my shirts are kind of dark. I have a lighter blue shirt that's almost the color of my logo back there. But in typical fashion, I'm wearing a darker shirt to actually create more contrast in the camera between my skin tone and the shirt, right? Because if my skin tone is even or darker than the shirt, I get other lighting effects. So all that comes into play when I'm doing my setup, right? But you want your logo to be able to be read by people. You want it to be able to be seen, but not be just glaring and stuff, right? Because here's what I say in a general sense, we start thinking about branding. If anybody can take a 5-second capture of your video and not know who that video belongs to, you're not branding properly. And so the easiest way to brand is your logo in the corner, visible. I've also seen people, and I'm not poo-pooing nobody's stuff. I'm just making you aware of things that I have seen that I think can help you improve your video. When you make a graphic tiny, yes, that's kind of saying, oh, that's Bradley's video, but you want it to be a mark. You want people to be able to tell what it is. You want it to be bold, like the HBO logo, right? Like the Showtime logo, SHO in the corner. NBC, all those places, they use logo bugs, right? And so consider that it's down in the corner. It's not in the way. It's not glaring like saying, hey, look at me. Because you're, in my case anyway, the action is here, right? That's just something that's there. And I have a physical logo, right? But it's blurred. It's in the background. It's not stark blue. It's kind of fading into the wall a little bit. The action is here. And so you have to consider all those things, right? Um, yeah, you just have to play with it. You have to play with it. I call it getting in the lab, using the software, seeing if it can do what you want it to do versus, oh, it uses a slide in, so that's all I can use, right? Now, some animations are better than others, or build outs, build ins is what Keynote calls them. Some are better than others. I think some have what I call a cheese factor that I would personally never use. But if it goes with your theme, it goes with what your show is about. You got a playful show and things like that. Use the sparkly animation that brings in your lower third. I wouldn't personally ever use it, but that doesn't go with what I do, right? And so use the things that work for you, but always consider the person that's looking at your video, that's consuming your content. Let's see. Is it good to animate every transit? I wouldn't personally. I mean, you see what I'm doing today, right? Okay, that's the basic, and I'm just clicking through. I don't animate, slide in, do all that stuff for everything, right? Because I don't want stuff to take away from the content. When you start doing too much of that, I'll mute it. Let me know if I'm still muted. It might have been one of my scenes I had muted for sound. So let me know if you can hear me. Okay. Yeah. I thought that was it. Yeah, I have some of the scenes muted because they were not set up for this. They're being repurposed from other stuff. So I figured once I start clicking through all that stuff, I would go out at some point. That's why I keep my sound level window always open and look for that jump. Yeah, but you don't want to use animations to the point where they take away from your content. I don't use animations for animation's sake. I use animations to enhance a particular thing. All right, so like the stinger, it's meant to be animated, right? So that's an animation. I don't use it all the time, right? I The logo bar, right? It animates to add attention to let people know that it changed. It doesn't jump around, it doesn't jiggle, it just fades from thing to thing. And so when people notice, wait a minute, that's saying different stuff. And so it might grab your attention every now and then and see, okay, what did that thing just say? And then you move on. It's not, hey, look at me graphic. It's just kind of smooth transition, right? But then there's things you want to use that actually jolts the person's attention. And so you would do something that moves through the screen like this, that jolts their attention, and they're like, hey, what was that, right? So I call that a pattern interrupter. And so you can use these animations to do different things along the way, but it's not like everything that shows up on the screen does some extreme stuff. Now, if I want you guys to subscribe to my YouTube channel or something, right? I might say it the first time and then periodically show the animation that says like, comment, subscribe. So I don't have to keep saying it. And you can put those things on a timer in Ecamm, right? So I'll make 2 or 3 scenes with the same exact view, but those other scenes may have an animation tied to them with the invisible timer that just rolls through those 3 scenes. Now, to you guys, you just see animations popping up. And I could be doing this and an animation pops up. You're like, how did animation happen? Because they're on a timer with the exact copies of the same scene in a folder, 4 or 5 of them, with different overlays that just change automatically without me doing anything. They're just on a timer and they rotate through themselves in a folder. So that's the kind of different way you can do stuff. Appreciate that. AMC Amory. I'm terrible with name memory, but I think I can pronounce names pretty good, but I think I'm getting you wrong. Well, AMC A Marie, since the AM is both capitalized. Appreciate that. Yeah, but so that's kind of how this is all set up. So you want to consider all those things. Consider color, consider fonts. If you can control your studio setup, you can control your scene, you have a lot more leeway with colors. I wouldn't go too far with fonts unless you're doing titles. So if it's a title, go script. Okay, cool. Go script. Go fancy. Go frilly. If it's huge, once you start getting smaller, that is harder and harder to read. There's a reason that all the social media websites use sans serif fonts. There's a reason for that. Because you're viewing a lot of that stuff on your phone. It can be small sizes. It works better in video content. It works better to be legible at those small sizes. They do that for a reason. When you're reading a book, serif fonts just look good in a book. They look good in print, right? But there's nothing moving behind it. My hand's not moving behind that text, right? Sans serif fonts, an H is 3 lines that are the same thickness. If I put it up here in Palatino, you got thicks and thins. My hands are moving behind it. It's harder to read. So just don't fall in love with all these exotic fonts. Make the text so people can read it. That is to help enhance what you're doing. The font is not going to change somebody's mind about your content because it was fancy. It could do the opposite effect. Works the same thing with your logo bugs. Don't use your handwritten signature as a logo bug. People can't read it. But if you use it as part of your title screen and it's this big, use it as your intro logo. And then when you come back, use your initials, big, bold font, name of your site, whatever it is, big, bold font in a corner. Logo bugs can be great as just text. So yeah, I mean, with that in mind. So let me just go here and I'll just do it real quick because I know a lot of people, and that is a very common thing. People just ask about fonts all the time. They ask about fonts a lot. And no background. I'm gonna make this white. Okay, that's a logo bug, right? Now, in this case, because you see me moving behind it and things, and my white logo gets behind it sometimes, right? But it's still legible, even at a small size. That's not big. But let me double click that. And all I'm going to do is change the font. I'm not going to make it any smaller because I don't want you to feel like I'm cheating to prove a point. But let me go to, is that it? No, that's not a sans serif font. I mean a serif font. Nope. Why can't I just find a font? Okay. Okay, so as you can see now, that's a lot more thin. Now you know what the word says, but it's a lot more thicks and thins and stuff like that on it now. And if you're being honest with me, the other font just looks bolder and richer. Same size. Um, I didn't change anything but the font. Now, naturally, some fonts, size 12 in a certain font is bigger than size 12 in a different font. So, given that, in a general sense, this doesn't look as bold and as clean as the sans serif version. It just doesn't. Now, you do this and decide to make it script or some other thing like that, makes it even worse, right? So you have to really consider that when you are making see that? Now by now you know what it says because you've seen me say my name several times, right? And so, but that okay, but you have to really think about when you do those things, right? And you don't want to use frilly fonts and stuff like that just for the sake of using them. Right, and that now all I did was change the font. This is actually the same size as the other font based on font size. See how much bigger that one was? Right, and so yeah, and even the thin version of this font is more bold and legible than the sans serif version of the other font. So I would just say consider that. Use sans serif fonts. There's a ton of them, right, that have like different what I call signature letters, like the K's or the Y's or the B's or the S's may look a little bit different because those are what I call signature fonts. That makes that font signature letters, which makes that font um, unique from other fonts, right? So you can do some cool thing with sans serif fonts, and I just would highly suggest you use sans serif fonts. All right. Let's see. All right, y'all. I am going to. We're past the hour. All right. So if you don't have any more questions, I am going to go. I'm going to try to make myself available in the group or groups because I was also streaming on YouTube today. Make myself available in the groups more often for these lives. Oh, just to put a plug in right now. I am doing live graphics audits and I'm probably going to be doing them mostly on YouTube. But go to my website, which is bradleyteaches.com. I'll just put it in the comments here or make a text overlay. I'm going to give you guys two links before you leave because I know you're getting out of here. Let's see. I'm going to give you guys two links. The first one is bradleyteaches.com/graphics audit. And I'll put a background on that so it's easy to read. And I'll make the text black. All right. bradleyteaches.com/graphics audit. That's the first one. That is going to be, oh, that's the paid one. My bad. Nope, let me turn that off because I don't want to have to make you pay for that. All right. The other one, let's do this one real quick then. Let's do this instead. ELA. Okay. And I know some YouTube people are here too, but if you go to bradleyteaches.com/ELA, that's a special email list that I started up. I'm going to send you a PDF that shows you how to set up your Keynote to do graphics and animations. I'm going to also be sending you other stuff along the way, freebies and other offers like that. The graphics audit is linked in my Facebook group, and it goes through a DM process to give me your graphics so I can audit them or review them. But if you want to add it as a comment, if you want to upload your graphics or screen capture of your video window in the comment stream, I'll get it from here. Or if you're a YouTube people, add it to the comment stream of YouTube or send me a link to your video and I will do I'm going to start doing free graphics audits live. So I'm going to open up your stuff, I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to like tell us straight on top of it and say, hey, think about moving this here, think about your colors, think about this, So yes, sometimes it can be tough love, but tough love is still love. I'm not going to just destroy people. That's not what I do. You guys know me already. Everything is to enrich and enhance what you're doing and just give you a pro's eye looking at your graphics and giving you my suggestions, my professional suggestion on ways you can enhance what you're doing. So I kind of tell us straight on top of it and say, hey, think about moving this over there. Think about your window sizes. This will be great for a theme. Maybe think about doing this kind of view. So that's going to all be live reviews, and they're going to usually be on my YouTube channel. So, but I might put them in some other groups also. All right. I think y'all appreciate that, Valerie, for putting that in there. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. See if there's any more questions from anybody. Let me check out the YouTube folks. Appreciate that. Yeah, and see, that's the thing, because everybody, create content. Overall, I want you to create content. As you see, I teach graphics, and there's no graphics on my screen. Mostly because I'm always in the teaching mode and I need all the real estate I have here to share screens and show you guys graphics and not put graphics all over everything so you can't see what I'm teaching you. That's the main reason. But usually in a talk show style format, when I'm being interviewed by other people and stuff like that, I'll have my lower thirds and other stuff. But ultimately, this is my content. It's me teaching. It's me talking to you. And adding a graphic is only needed to enhance or support what I'm talking about. It's not going to take over what I'm doing. Yes, it'd be cool to have a nice frame overlay, but if it's preventing you from making content, scrap it. The number one thing I would suggest anyone does, the first graphic anyone should make is a logo bug. Single color, if possible. Just use text like I use. That Bradley Teaches text, that's a logo bug, because now it identifies my video and shows people who owns the video. Do it in black and white, one black, one white, and then do it in your brand colors. And then you can see as you start up each broadcast, okay, no, a plain white one is the best one. Do it at a decent size so people can tell what it is, and start with that. Then go from there, make lower thirds, make sidebars that swing in, drop down, make confetti pop up, do whatever you want to do. But at minimum, start off with a logo bug so people will know who the video belongs to, because now you're creating shareable content. So if I, just to kind of go back for a second, if I do this, I go back here and I do this. And I say, hey, screen capture this for these topics. Don't write this down, don't worry about it. Screen capture this for the topics we're going to be talking about today. So now somebody screen captures my video. They might share it somewhere. They may just look at it later on and take notes on it. But they know this is a Bradley Teaches video because it's branded, right? Now, if I didn't have my logo shirt on, I didn't have my logo in the background, all that kind of stuff, and I say, hey, screen capture this, blah, 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 and they're like, oh, I was watching this guy do a video, or they might have sent it to a friend that doesn't even know me, And they're like, oh, that was a cool thing you sent. And then they just kind of like, oh, I love to see who that guy is, but it's a screen capture. I don't know who owns that video, right? So brand yourself. Take ownership of your videos. Do the stuff that other folks are doing. All the social media sites are using sans serif fonts. They do that for a reason. HBO, even back in the day when after cable came out, I'm gonna date myself a little bit. Cable came out, people were VHS recording the videos, right? And then HBO figured out, wait a minute, these people are bootlegging HBO videos, taking them to their friends' houses, whatever else. We might not be able to stop the bootlegging, but we need to let people know who owns this video. Then HBO started having that little bug, HBO, that showed up in the corner about every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes of the video. That's why they did that. They weren't going to prevent people from recording the VHS and taking it to their friend's house and watching a movie. But now their friend knows who owns that video. Oh, you got that off HBO. I might have to consider buying HBO. So I'd have to watch your recording. And that's why they did that. That's why CNN and NBC, that's why they have logo bugs. So if somebody uses some of their content, they know who that content belongs to. Follow the cues of people that are successful branding their videos. Follow the cues of people that are successful by putting text on the screen and putting graphics on the screen. No reason to reinvent the wheel. Do what works, right? But then add your flair to it with the animations or whatever else. All right, y'all. So I think that's it. I don't see any more questions. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate you, George. Appreciate you, Lorenzo. Valerie, always. Appreciate you. Hey, Maggie, thank you for coming. Yeah. Let me see. Keep on going through here. We have our YouTube folks. Stop it. I know, I'm trying to stop. All right, y'all. It's always hard for me to leave. I get separation anxiety, I guess. All right, Danny, good to see y'all. I want to make sure I greet everybody. And my YouTube folks that are here. Michael, thank you for coming through. What is the difference between calling it a logo or a logo bug? It's the same thing. That's what the industry calls it, a logo bug, because it's in the corner. And that's just, they know, okay, oh, put your logo bug in the corner. Some people have logo intros. I'll show you one of those real quick. This is a logo intro. Did it play? There we go. So this is a logo intro I did for eCam for Educators. That's their logo. And their logo just happens to be all text, which works, right? This is a logo, a literal logo for a company. And it's a logo intro. So that's a logo. Okay. All done with Keynote. But then a logo bug would be that. That's a logo bug, right? One color or a few colors as possible, usually in a corner. And I'm going to take this off of here. And usually might even be that stark. I can change the gradient on it, right? And the trick to do that in eCam is, so you make a PNG logo bug or whatever else, make it full color, because you can always change the transparency in eCam by holding down Shift, and if you got a magic mouse, rubbing your mouse. Or if you got a scroll wheel, rolling the scroll wheel, right? Hold down Shift, and you can drag it to make different gradients or transparencies of the logo. All right. Appreciate you, Jeff. All right. Yeah, so a logo is all my brand colors, all the fonts, as is, stuff like that. A logo bug is a semblance of your logo or name that's in a corner and bold. I know, man. It's like, yeah, the old bootleg. I still got a VHS because I'm still that nerdy guy. because my wedding video is on VHS. I got to get it converted and stuff like that. But yeah, the old Betamaxes and that. Yeah, but just do what other people do that works, man. All right. I am gone now because I just saw my phone ring and it's a family member. So I got to go tend to my family. All right, y'all. So I am Bradley Teaches, better known as Alana's Pawpaw. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. I will catch y'all next time and keep creating. Bye-bye, y'all.